Hi, my name is Ed Beer Jr. This is the Evolution of a Dragon painting. It's a quick step-by-step approach to block-in techniques. The title of the painting is Lunch with a Toothpick. It's for the 2008 Dragon Calendar by Tidemark, and it is a acrylic painting on illustration board. I'm going to be taking step-by-steps. They're going to be large steps because of the short time of the video, but this is how you'll get the best idea of what I do. Here you see my easel and the finished painting set up just to give you an idea of what you're going to see step by step. And notice the drawing as reference up on the upper left-hand side. Now when I start a painting, I like to work from back to front, top to bottom. It can easily be done this way with acrylics because of how quick acrylics dry in any water-based medium. Here I'm putting in some of the highlights in the clouds. Now I've already blocked in the mountainside here, which would basically be a dark burgundy or brown tone, and I'm now adding some of the highlights. There was about 6 or 7 different colors before I got to the point of adding those white highlights. Same goes for the next plane of perspective, which is the mountain range, as I'm adding some of the dark greens to medium greens, and then finally the light greens. Here you can see as I'm working, I like to work in a very upright fashion so I can see everything. Now you see the empty space in the middle. That white space is where the dragon will actually be. This was frisketed and stenciled off so that I wouldn't be working in that zone as I continue to work on the background, all the way up to the foreground in which he's sitting on. When you're doing a tree, I always believe, especially with acrylics, you paint a tree just like it grows, from the bark and branches up, adding the darks and then slowly medium tones and then finally highlights. Now here you can see I've put in most of the tree trunks and branch work just behind the dragon. And now we're adding the foliage, again working from dark green, adding medium, and then finally highlights. But as Bob Ross would say, it's your happy little tree, so do it any way you'd like. And now we have the full picture of the intermediate plane of perspective where I've got all the foliage and trees just behind where the dragon's going to be sitting. Now, where he's sitting, due to the weight, I wanted to give the feeling that he's cracked to the earth. So I'm starting to add dark lines and medium tones and shadows to create this dry, parched, creviced-like land area. And as you can see, I'm adding some grays and blues to make the feeling of slate. So I've took that base brown, and I've added a variety of different colors, but I'm always working from dark to light, doing the line work first, and then slowly adding the lighter tones. Also, as you can see, I've added some foliage to the front, the pine trees. That gives you an added plane of perspective, the closest to the viewer. And here we have the first major block in, where I'm actually filling in, just like a silhouette, the base tones of the dragon. Some of them are darker than others because I want to make sure I have separations for the appendages. And to even define those separations more, I'm now adding those black lines. Now I'm using an alizarin crimson mixed with a black, so I've got a dark but deep value and easy to see black line. Here you have the completed dragon silhouette, all lined out with all of the areas that I need to go into with the medium light tones that I'm going to go now. It'll be a light brownish red. And there you have it. Starting to work in those light brownish reds now. They're creating, in effect, the scales. So rather than actually drawing in or paint like you would with a pencil, I'm actually putting in solid areas to create those scales and also add the three-dimensionality to the piece. You notice the belly, I've chose a different tone just for the chest and belly so that it separates itself from the rest of the red or the red-orange that inevitably this dragon's going to be. Here I'm adding some of the very ultra darks on the horns. The horns are very black, very dark. Same thing will be for the nails of the toenails and the fingernails. Now we've backed off and I can show you all of the dark values have been put in now, all the black line work. And now the next step will be adding those subtle lighter tones of reds and the orange, yellow, golds in the belly. Like to always check my reference as much as possible. That's why I make a photocopy of my original drawing before I continue to go through my work, just to make sure that I've got the right shadowing and using color to bring that out. Now here you see I'm just starting now to put some of the remains of the armor from the knights that were invited to lunch. Of course they didn't realize they'd be lunch, but that's what you're seeing, all those little gray silhouettes. Now I've fully shadowed and rendered those silhouettes in full color. So you've got shiny armor. Naturally he's got a lance in his mouth because he's got to pick his teeth. He's a very neat and clean dragon. And there's the finished piece. Basically the lunch with a toothpick from the 2008 Dragon's Calendar from Tidemark. And it pretty much gives you the feeling of three-dimensionality, a lot of depth, and it was a very easy process. It's a block-in process. It's using acrylic on illustration board, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much.